Hey, hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron, and welcome to the Gamertron Show, and welcome to episode 1 of I Played It, I Liked It. So, I have recently played Scourge Outbreak, and I liked it. Scourge Outbreak is a science fiction action game. It's a third-person, cover-based shooter. It contains a single-player campaign, the option to play that campaign co-op with a buddy, with up to 3 buddies, so 4-player co-op, and a multiplayer mode with the option to play against bots or, of course, real people online. Now let me give you my brief history up into buying and playing Scourge Outbreak. I was looking for Gears of War, the original first Gears of War numero uno on the PC. I was looking for the PC version of the game, but apparently finding a PC physical copy or a PC download of Gears of War is the equivalent of Wile E. Coyote chasing after the Roadrunner. I just couldn't catch it. I couldn't get a copy. Not a download code. I couldn't even find a pirated version of the PC game. Granted, I was just looking if there was even a pirated version out there. Turns out there isn't. So with no hope in sight of getting Gears of War on the PC, I decided to opt out and look for another third-person shooter that had at least some similarities to Gears of War. And lo and behold, on the Steam store page, after doing a bit of browsing and searching through the specific tag of third person, I found Scourge. Bought it at a cheap price, installed it, played it, and I liked it. Now what's the story of Scourge Outbreak? What's the premise? You play as one of 4 members of Echo Squad, a mercenary unit hired by the Tarn Initiative, an organization that is looking to expose and overthrow the evil Nogari Corporation, whom have gained a monopoly and huge influence over the world through their unique resource called ambrosia. Not entirely sure what ambrosia is or what it does, but it kind of serves as an energy source. So Echo Squad is sent to Nogari Island to go retrieve proof that Nogari is corrupt and evil and blah blah blah. But when they get to the island, they are apparently betrayed by a separate mercenary squad they were supposed to be working with, Alpha Squad. Now it's up to Echo Squad to find Alpha Squad, stop them, get their condemning evidence against Nogari, and rescue their inside man, their secret agent within Nogari, Rysbeck, who also serves as your advisor throughout the game. The story of Scourge Outbreak is nothing special. It's very cliched. It's very seen that, done that before. The story wasn't really all that engaging. The story wasn't the thing that was making me come back to the game and want to see and play more. The story isn't bad by any means. It's not horrible. It's just nothing spectacular. It's average, if not a little above average. I will give the writers and developers of Scourge this. They were trying. You can obviously tell that they were trying. They were trying to engage the player. They were trying to get you interested in what was going on. They throw in a couple plot twists here and there, a pretty big plot twist near the end of the game, and the game tries to pursue and encourage this mystery, this intrigue, but it just doesn't enthrall me. The story of the game is nothing special. The characters in the game, however, are the exact opposite. Your inside man and advisor throughout the game, you guys know what a video game advisor is. You know, that's someone who talks to your ear over the radio, barks orders at you. Your Cortana, your Lotus of the game. Rysbeck is a decent character overall. He's certainly one of the more memorable ones, due to a few certain plot points with him and the fact that, well, he's always talking to you, always giving you background information on Nogari Island, and supposedly helping you throughout your journey. However, our 4 main characters, the mercenaries within Echo Squad, Stonewall, Mass, Amp, and Shade, all have their own backstory and motivations for why they've joined Echo Squad and have a grudge against Nogari. So there is a little replayability in the game, because each character, depending on which one you play as, has their own cutscenes. Granted, while most cutscenes are shared, there are a couple that specifically focus on those characters, mostly consisting of really ugly-looking flashbacks, but flashbacks all the same. Also a little intro cutscene at the beginning of the tutorial to give you a hint of their motivations. I really like this. I really like how each one of the individual characters, each one of the 4 characters you get to play as, I like how each one of them has a story element specific to them. They have character development specific to them if you play them. I like that. That's a really, really interesting and really different feature to Scourge Outbreak, because usually when you play a game with 4-player co-op, you don't get to see that character's side of the story. With Scourge Outbreak, while it's not fully explored, it's not fully developed, it does add some replayability, and it definitely adds some character development. Now let's move on to the most important part of any video game, gameplay. What did I think of the gameplay? Well, the gameplay in Scourge Outbreak is your typical third-person cover-based shooting, which is good. That's exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for a Gears of War-alike game. And with that, you know somewhat of what to expect. The game controls very similar to many other third-person shooters. You can take cover behind almost any wall and almost any object. You can sprint, roll, blind fire when behind cover, you get the gist. While the gameplay is all very seen that, done that before, Scourge Outbreak does have its own unique feel. A strange, almost Unreal Tournament, Horde mode-esque feel. Because every time you kill an enemy, you get points. You get points for your overall score on the level, and experience points for both your character and your weapons. Killing a certain amount of enemies with a certain weapon will eventually level it up and just make it a better weapon overall, as well as give you bonus points and little in-game achievements and medals. The shooting in the game feels fine. It's not entirely meaty, it's not entirely impactful, at long range at least, but when you get close up into firefights, when you kill an enemy close up, their blood splatters onto your screen, and I don't know why, but that's just somehow very satisfying. Weapons in the game are your typical selection. You have a semi-automatic pistol, an automatic SMG, a burst-fire rifle, a sniper rifle, a shotgun, a minigun. The only real interesting and unique weapon in the game is, well, the last one. It's called the Manticore, and it's kind of like a grenade launcher, but it's not. It fires balls of energy or EMP blasts. Not entirely sure, the game doesn't explain. But that weapon does do a ton of damage and is great for taking out enemies that are grouped together. Now, most of the fun you will get from this game is the many shootouts with Nagari soldiers. Shootouts with Nagari soldiers are intense and chaotic. Since you're a 4-player team, or 1 player with free AI teammates, the game likes to throw a lot of enemies at you, at least 6 to 12 at a time. So you never really run out of stuff to shoot at, and like I said, shootouts can be chaotic and fun, bullets and lasers flying everywhere, and the AI for the Nagari soldiers is actually pretty decent. They try to flank you, they use cover, they line up their shots, and what really adds intensity to those shootouts, those Nagari soldiers do not shy away from using their goddamn grenades. No matter what difficulty, Nagari soldiers will shower you in grenades, constantly forcing you to keep getting out of cover or switching cover. And damn, do grenades pack a punch in this game. I also like the little mechanic where, depending on which button you press, when you throw the grenade, it will either be, well, your regular grenade, you throw it, you wait for it to detonate, or you can throw it as a sticky grenade. I just like that as a nice little feature that a grenade is a 2-for-1 special. So yeah, fighting Nagari soldiers in those intense, chaotic shootouts are a lot of fun. What's not as much fun is fighting the title characters. The Scourge. The alien Scourge are a side effect of Nagari harvesting ambrosia. Although more is revealed about them later on, the Scourge, however, are just so bland. So bland and cliched, the design and look of the Scourge. I knew these enemies were in the game. I knew there were going to be aliens. From the screenshots and trailers, I knew there were going to be alien enemies. I just had no idea the alien enemies would be a chore to battle through. And they are this for 2 reasons. One, just the design of the aliens. It's so cliched, so seen that, done that before. They genuinely look like rip-offs of other aliens from other video games, such as the Zerg from StarCraft, the Tyranids from Warhammer 40k, and the Martians from Red Faction Armageddon. It's just that the Scourge had such potential, and they went for the very organic, insectoid-looking monsters that have very messy, undefinable shapes. It's sad to say, but the Scourge are kind of the low point of the game. Isn't that ironic? The Scourge are the low point of Scourge. However, next to the fact that the Scourge look like rip-offs of other aliens, the Scourge enemies also have a tendency of jumping the fuck around all over the environment, barely ever giving you opportunities to get a clear shot at them. Granted, the bigger Scourge enemies are easier to hit, but the small bastards are leaping everywhere. Whether leaping at you to do a significant amount of damage, maybe a tad too much damage, or leaping on the walls and roofs. It becomes a chore, a pain to try and kill these things, because usually they come at you in great numbers and are fucking jumping around everywhere. I wasted so much bloody ammo fighting these enemies. The only time I ever had fun fighting the Scourge is when I had a shotgun in hand and one-shotting them, up close and personal, and getting their green blood on my screen. So note to self, if you're going to be fighting the Scourge, make sure you have a shotgun. It's the only way you'll have fun fighting these things, in my personal opinion. However, Scourge Outbreak, next to the Scourge themselves, are not the only downfall with Scourge Outbreak. There are just a few things that, if improved on or changed, could have made the game just so much better. One example would be the lame-ass melee attack. I mean, look at this. You have these badass looking playable characters, and all they have for a melee attack is that. That's just lame. Also, one of my biggest problems with the game is that there's no health bar. While yes, your characters have regenerating health, yes, this is one of those games with a take cover, regenerate health, la-di-la. Heard about it, seen it, done it. But unlike in other games that have regenerating health, there's no real way to tell what the status of your health is. I ended up getting downed so many times because in Scourge Outbreak, you don't just outright die. When you lose all your health, you go into a down state and you have to wait for one of your teammates to revive you. You only ever actually get a game over screen if one of your characters actually dies from not getting revived. Which is rare, I might add, because the teammate AI, the AI of your teammates, is actually surprisingly pretty good. They're very aggressive on the enemy, they take cover when they need to, they use their shield abilities often, and often use their shield abilities to give them cover while they revive you, which is pretty intelligent, a really good programming there. But that doesn't change the fact that I kept going down and kept being needed to be revived by my teammates. Granted, it was really cool seeing them put up a shield and then come to revive me. The fact that I kept getting downed because I didn't know how my health was doing because I couldn't see my bloody health. And my final gripe with the game, what I personally consider to be a failure, are the boss battles. The boss battles to me are lame. While some of them do indeed have cool designs, the actual fighting with the bosses just, it wasn't fun. Like the Scourge, it felt more of a chore. I just didn't have fun with the boss battles. And the last thing I have to talk about the game are your powers. Now, your powers are a real missed opportunity. You see, each one of the 4 characters has their own Shockwave and Shield ability. And while they can be particularly useful in combat, Shockwave for taking out groups of bunched up enemies or getting enemies from behind cover, and Shield for, of course, protecting yourself, giving you cover to shoot through, giving you protection while you revive a teammate. These powers are all very useful, but the effects for them are so very lame. Unlike, say, the biotics from Mass Effect, where the visual effects and the sound effects had punch, had meat, had power to them, the ones in Scourge Outbreak just looks like you're protecting yourself with glass or hitting the enemies with a light blue breeze. They're just not satisfying. And now moving on to multiplayer. While there are a few actual people online playing Scourge Outbreak, the number is few and far between. If you're going to even try out the multiplayer, you're probably going to be playing it with bots. And the bots, the AI of the bots, like the AI in the main campaign, is pretty decent. They shoot at each other, they shoot you. However, both teams, for some reason, sometimes, just stop what they're doing and stand still for at least a minute in a particular room or area. It's really weird. Multiplayer does have some fun to it. You get all the weapons you find in the main campaign. However, it lacks the intensity, the color, the chaotic and bombastic nature of the shootouts with the Nagari soldiers in the single-player or co-op campaign. Overall, Scourge Outbreak is an average, if not above-average game. The game does some things right, some things well enough, and just a few things poorly. Graphics are colorful, well enough detailed, but animations can be a bit jerky and stiff. Guns have some weight and firepower to them, but in the end they're atypical weapons that you've used before, and they only feel slightly different in this game, if you've already played third-person shooters. Only half the enemies in the game are fun to fight, the Nagari soldiers you have fun chaotic shootouts with, while the alien Scourge are a chore and frustrating affair of enemies to go through. The 4 main playable characters look badass, they look awesome, they have awesome designs. As a matter of fact, their designs look so awesome they kind of don't fit with the rest of the game. So the characters you get to play as look awesome, but their melee attacks and abilities look lame. Ah hell, they don't just look lame, they are lame. And overall, the lack of a health bar or some way to indicate how much health you have left can lead to some unwanted and cheap deaths. In my personal opinion, I believe Scourge Outbreak to be a good video game, and I would personally recommend it to hardcore fans of third-person shooting, and those of you looking for a new co-op game to play with friends. The chaotic shootouts with Nogari soldiers can become even more chaotic and good crazy fun with friends by your side. So if you're into playing video games co-op with friends, Scourge Outbreak is worth the look. However, that's only my personal opinion, my subjective opinion. If I were to give this game an objective ranking, look at the game as a whole and analyze the quality of the product, I would say that Scourge Outbreak is an okay game. While I personally find it to be a good game, objectively, I can't deny it's just an okay video game. It's average, if not above average. It's worth a look if it tickles your curiosity. Just know, this game is far from perfect, but there is some good qualities to it and some good fun to be had. Just know, there are some frustrations and annoyances that come with it. This has been the Gamertron. This has been a I Played It, I Liked It review of Scourge Outbreak. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please consider liking if you liked it, comment and let me know what you think of this game and what you think of my video as a whole, and please consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from a guy who loves video games, loves talking about video games. This may be the channel for you. This has been the Gamertron, this has been a video, and I will see you guys later.